Henry and his friend the stag. Henry and his friend Deer were playing hide and seek, and Deer was growing frustrated. "It's so much easier for you to hide," he complained. Henry laughed. It was true, but that was the fun. Deer could spend a whole hour trying to sniff him out, while Henry could spot the stag's antlers from afar, poking proudly out from the foliage. After a morning's excitement, they rested under the dappled light of the May blossom and bathed in its heady scent. They had been friends since Henry could remember, and shared their deepest secrets. But today, as sunbeams frolicked around them, Deer whispered a secret so deep that time for a moment appeared to stand still. "Are you sure?" Henry explored gently. "Is this something that you really think is right for you?" "More sure," said the stag, "than I've ever been about anything." "Then I'll support you all the way," promised Henry. It proved to be a very long year, with all the curiosities that a year can bring, falling from the tree of life like the autumn leaves. The forest had been deafened by a cacophony of opinions once the stag's decision had become known. Everyone said they knew what was best for him, even though they got into so many muddles within their own lives. The only person who listened to Deer, rather than talk at him, was Henry, who was now anxiously waiting for his friend to appear over the brow of the high hill. They were going together to the spring tea party that the pine martens prepared every year. Henry hadn't seen Deer for a good few months, and now, as her figure silhouetted on the horizon, he knew Deer's dream had come true. They skipped happily along, catching up and telling jokes, giggling like friends do. When Henry tripped and rolled down into the ditch, they laughed so much they had to sit down for a while and clutch their aching tummies. They could hear the tea party in full swing as they turned into the hawthorn trail, and the sound of happiness swelled as they grew nearer. Emerging into the clearing, they stood a while, enchanted by the swirl of the dancers, the drumming sound of the woodpeckers, and the singing of the blackbird quartet. Slowly, the partying animals became aware of the doe and Henry. The blackbirds stopped singing. The woodpeckers ceased their drumming. The dancers grew rigid, and everyone halted their chatter. The silence became deafening. All attention was focused on Deer, who felt she was growing smaller and smaller, crushed by their stares, until, unable to bear it a moment longer, she ran from the clearing. Henry followed rapidly and found her sobbing inconsolably. That difficult afternoon seemed now like an eternity ago. Henry and Dear were playing hide and seek again, their favourite game. It was a much more even game now. The doe found it hard to sniff out Henry, and Henry found it hard to spot the doe, now her antlers had been removed. "Thank you, Henry," Dear said, after they had collapsed in a happy, sweaty heap, their games over. "All the animals accept me now as I am. But you were the first. You showed them the way to the path of love."